I'm in Front Royal, Virginia on US Route 522, and this little parking area here, this is where the Appalachian Trail crosses Route 522. There's my little red car, and over this way is the Appalachian Trail heading to the south. This takes you up into Shenandoah National Park, and over there is the AT northbound. So I'm going to cross the road and head north on the Appalachian Trail, and I don't know, maybe 3 miles or so up into the mountains here. I'm going to look for the site of the old Mosby Shelter. It's not there anymore, but I understand they've turned it into a camping area. So let's get started and see if we can find it. The elevation here is 975 feet. .6 miles into my hike. I've been basically walking flat. That's where I came from. And this is the corner of this huge U.S. government installation that's here now. Back before World War II, this was part of the U.S. Army Remount Depot. Their mission was to supply the Army and other military units with horses. And now it's turned into something else. I'll have to look it up when I get home. But anyway, this is the corner of it here. Here's where I came from, and we're going to continue on up the mountain this way. It's going to have to start getting steeper though, because I've already gone 0.6 of a mile and I haven't really gained any elevation. So, going to have to get busy here with climbing the mountain. .4 miles into my hike. I'm up to 1,200 feet elevation, and I stopped to take a look at this huge concrete. I don't know what it is. It's full of dirt, but maybe once upon a time it was a cistern or something. Hey, here's the Appalachian Trail. There's where I came from, through the jungle. Boy, it's really hot and humid today. And then there's this thing. There's no, whoops, all the bushes are getting me here. Anyway, there it is. It's pretty big. That thing's probably, I don't know, 8 feet across or so. Full of dirt at this point. And I got to continue on up the trail that way. Maybe you can see it up there. This is a pretty overgrown section. 1.9 miles into my hike. I'm up to 1,540 feet now. I'm out of breath because this section is fairly steep. That's where I came from. This is the Appalachian Trail. That's where I came from. And I'm just crossing an old road. Maybe you can see that that's a road. It's obviously not used much, if at all. I'm going to continue on this way on the Appalachian Trail. And there's a road heading down the side of the mountain down towards Route 522. So let's continue on this way, and I've got more mountain climbing to do here. .4 miles into my hike. I'm up to 1,860 feet. There's where I came from, and there's a rock pile back there that I just passed, and look at this, here's another one. So people obviously lived up here. When they clear off their fields, they pile them up like this in piles, and then sometimes they get reused, like to build houses or fences, things like that. This is about the peak elevation for the hike. I'm not to the Mosby campsite yet. It's still almost another mile, but it's either flat or downhill from here according to the map. So let's just keep on going. Just a couple hundred yards past that one pile of rocks, here's the, I thought this was another pile of rocks, but it's actually part of a fence. Look, you got that there, and then on this side of the trail, it extends on down for, I don't know how far, a ways. So, what's left of a dry stacked stone fence. .3 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,800 feet, and look at this, getting ready to cross a gravel road. Looks nice. There's where I came from. Maybe you can see the white blaze on the tree. Appalachian Trail coming down. The high part of the hike's up there, and if you look at this hike on Google Earth, you'll see that this mountain is being developed now. So that's why these roads are up here. But anyway, I'm going to continue on this way along the Appalachian Trail. I'm hoping within the next couple tenths of a mile I'll see a turnoff to the Mosby campsite. 3.5 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,750 feet. And look at what I found. There's the Appalachian Trail coming down from the top. That's where I came from. And when you come down this way, the AT heads off to the left. And there's some signs on that tree I took pictures of. And then you'll see this blue blaze. So we're going to follow the blue blaze to the campground. Okay, well here's where the shelter was. There's the fire pit. That's somebody else's stuff. They're down at the spring getting water. And the shelter, no doubt, was over here. So, and it's extremely overgrown. There's a camping area up that way. And there's another camping area up that way. So I'm going to head down to the spring and show you what that looks like. Okay, so there's the trail coming down from the campsite, and here's the spring right here. Real slow flow of water at the moment. And then we got the swamp zone down this way as it starts to head downhill. Here's another view of the camp area. There's the fire pit. Somebody put these nice benches up here. There's an open area. I'm pretty sure that's where the shelter was. And then there's numerous side trails. I can see two of them. One of them takes you up that way to a camping area. Here, I'll go up there and you can see what it looks like. Oh, maybe not. I got too many prickly bushes in my way here. There you go. So that's a campsite there. Pretty nice. There's the main site down there. And looks to me like it heads on up here. Even further. So multiple camping areas up here. .5 miles into my hike, I'm down to 1,057 feet. I'm almost back to my car. It's about another 0.6 of a mile maybe. I'm down to the flat part now. This is the Appalachian Trail coming down off the side of the mountain. And I'm back to the corner where this fencing starts that I showed you. And I didn't notice this going up, but coming back, there's another Appalachian Trail survey benchmark, and it's dated 1999, so I just thought I'd point that out. Just walked out of the gates, and there's another survey marker. Appalachian Trail survey marker, dated 1999. It's right here near these old, I guess these are from the remount depot days, these old buildings. I'll take a still picture of it. This is a map of today's hike. This is 2 quadrangle maps taped together. The left side to this line right here is Front Royal 1994, and the right half of the map is Linden 1994. And I hiked the Appalachian Trail up to look for the remains of the Mosby Shelter along the Appalachian Trail. The shelter's gone, but I had heard it was turned into a campsite, so that was the purpose of the hike. This red line here is Route 522 coming out of Front Royal. Front Royal's up here about 3 miles or so. And you come down here and you just park right there next to this pond. You can't actually see the pond from the road though, because there's trees here in the way. But anyway, you park right here, cross the road, and you'll go into the woods, and you'll be on the Appalachian Trail. The Appalachian Trail comes down through here, crosses the road, and takes off like this. So you follow the Appalachian Trail basically the whole way. Now this is fairly accurate, but it's not totally accurate. The current route of the Appalachian Trail has changed a few times through the years. But anyway, you just climb the mountain. The elevation down here is like 950 feet. And you just keep following the AT until when you get up to here, you'll see a turnoff that says Mosby Campsite. And you turn to the right and follow that, and then that'll bring you right here. There was a shelter in this location years ago. It was built in 1939 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. From what I've read, in 1980, some people went up there and stole the shelter. They dismantled it and hauled it out of there. The thinking is that they took it apart and stole it to get the chestnut logs that they had built the shelter out of. Okay, so the only thing that's left up there now really is there's a couple of benches to sit on. The fire pit is still there, and if you look around, you can kind of tell there was an open area there where the shelter used to be, but there's no evidence of it there anymore. And then there's a few little side trails that go off in a couple different directions, 50 yards or so away from where the shelter was, and those are little campsites that are still up there. And also the spring is still there. Okay, now if you come back out onto the Appalachian Trail and continue heading north, you'll eventually get up here. I didn't mark it on this map, but eventually you'll come to, after a couple of miles, the Jim and Molly Denton Shelter along the AT. So that, I guess, when in 1980, when this shelter got stolen, I guess what they did was they came up here and they didn't rebuild that one. Instead, they picked a new site and put up a shelter up this way. It's real nice. The Jim and Molly Denton shelter, it's got a solar heated shower. It's got a separate pavilion area for cooking. The shelter itself is built more like a house. It's actually got a deck on the front of it, a wooden deck with some like Adirondack chairs and things like that. Real nice. Anyway, back to the hike. So I looked around here for a while, and I took pictures, and then I basically just came back down the mountain like this, back down to my car. One thing that's worth pointing out, this whole area here, and actually on the other side of 522, before World War II, this whole area was a U.S. Army remount depot, and their job was to supply horses to the U.S. cavalry. So as you're hiking along, you'll see some of the old buildings still there. The installation still has like an 8-foot high chain link fence with barbed wire and warning signs saying it's U.S. government and all that. Now it's called the National Zoological Park Conservation and Research Center. I think the Smithsonian does some work there too. This ended up being a little longer than the other hikes I've done recently. This one was 7.2 miles. It took me almost 5 hours. And let's see, the total ascent was 1,305 feet. So moderate level of difficulty on this hike. And that was the hike for today.